Yes, when you look at Shankara, first and foremost, the teacher. In fact, teacher first, teacher last. Few things came in between. People have been saying a lot of things about it. They may be at best a one-dimensional view. At worst, completely wrong. Like writing at a time when Hindus did not know, had not heard about the Upanishad, highlighting the need for spreading this knowledge. Swami Chinmayanji called him Shankara the missionary. In fact, there is a book published like that, Shankara the missionary. Not exactly the best of descriptions. He was highlighting one dimension alone, not more than that. Because in today's world, missionary would mean someone who's trying to convert someone from another religion to your religion. That was never his intention. Yeah, Swami Chinmayanji always used to say, I want to convert Hindus to Hinduism. And that need is felt today as well. But if you highlight Shankara, the teacher, that also comes into the picture. And what Shankara did is that work is necessary today as well. Because I'm going to highlight some of the social aspect, not the teaching aspect. Teaching aspect we do in the class all the time. I'm not going to highlight the teaching aspect. The biggest problem among the Hindus itself is disowning our own culture and heritage. You ask a Muslim, are you a Muslim? He says, yeah, I know the Quran, I know the... Okay. Ask a Christian, definitely I'm a Christian, I know the Bible, I go to church. You ask a Hindu, are you a Hindu? Yeah, by birth, but I'm more spiritual. I don't believe in rituals and all that superstitions. And there's a lot of apology about being who you are. Maybe Shankara foresaw it coming. And that is seen in his work he did for Dharma. Establishing the four matas, for example. To be centers of learning. Over time, yeah, they probably because of the British rule and prosecution, they just focused on preserving, didn't talk about spreading, which is what their job was. The four matas were meant to do that. Highlight both Dharma and Vedanta. Dharma in terms of the Purva Mimamsa and Vedanta. This had to be highlighted. But for various reasons, historical, they came down to only preserving it. So I'm very glad to see some of the Shankaracharyas making bold public statements now. So maybe now is the time for them to reclaim the original role that Adi Shankara envisaged for them. To be centers of Dharma. Four in four corners of the country. as far north as you could manage, Yoshimat, south Sringeri, west Dwarka, and east Puri. Why didn't you go further east? Yeah, we expected the effect to go further east. Similarly, the effect to go further north, Kashmir and etc. Kanchi was not one of the original four. In fact, Kanchi was an older setup. Kanchi Matha existed for more than 2000 years. And Shankara stayed there for some time to the end of his life. That's where Kanchi also became a famous Matha and started claiming to be one of the original. And they have a list of acharyas for the last 2000 years. But Shankara is supposed to be only 1400 years. It's less from 8th century AD onwards. So, but now it comes to 1700 years. Whereas Kanchi Matha acharyas are for 2500 years. How is that possible? Well, the popular notion is that Shankara was born in the 8th century. But there are some evidences, and some scholars accept that he could have been born as early as the 1st century. His research work, and there are evidences to support this. He could have been as far as 1st century. The only thing definite is that he was after Buddha. But his range could have been right up to the 1st century. Another thing that impresses me is how, I mean, this is true for any Vedanta teacher, but how for someone like Shankara, he managed to attract all types of students. The scholar, the intellectual, like Sureshwar Acharya, previously known as Mandana Mishra, who was scholarly enough to have a debate with Shankara. So that is the height of scholarliness and intellect. One side, one extreme. Other extreme is Sevaka, just a Sevaka, who played the role of a Sevaka, known as Sadananda. And Bhakta, more than Sevaka, he was a Bhakta, known as. And when Shankara calls out to him from across the river, and Sadananda, without a thought, runs across the river. And it seems that lotuses popped up to support his weight, as though a lotus can support a man's weight. Somewhere I think Sadananda must have been a great expert in prana, in energy work. Because in energy work, I've seen people doing this, running across water, etc. Because a lot of time and effort to master it, but it can be done. That's why Sadananda was later called Padmapada. Another person, I don't remember his name, he was a total sevaka. He would wash Shankara's clothes, this, that, etc. That is what his great seva is. And Shankara would always wait for him to come before starting the class. And the other students will wonder, why are you waiting for this guy? He is too busy doing seva, etc. He is not someone intellectually, he will not understand. Therefore, Shankara said, once he came to the class, singing praises of the Guru, that is known as Totakashtakam. It is not, and because it is he wrote the Totakashtakam, he was called Totaka Acharya. Totaka is a particular meter. And he was called Totaka Acharya, but he is not famous as Totaka Acharya because of Totaka Ashtakam. In the same meter, he has written a book called Shruti Sara Samudharana. I have taught it once. Which is a work in verse form summarizing the Brahma Sutras. A beautiful text. Shruti Sara Samudharana. Shrutinam Saraha Samyak Uddharana. To raise up the essence of the Shruti. Beautiful work. About 168 verses or something. Yeah. He is known as Totakacharya because of that, not because of Totakashtakam, as some people believe. Then Sureshwaracharya, an elderly man, and a kid, Hastamalaka. Look at the range of students he had. Hastamalaka was a kid. If Sureshwara was a mature person, Hastamalaka was a kid. Yeah. Then Anandagiri, who wrote commentaries on what Shankara has written. Padmapada also wrote. It's called Panchapadika, a commentary on the Brahma Sutras. So if you look at all that, I mean, these are his well-known students. He had thousands of students. Okay? So the range that he attracted, the variety of people, and all of them wise people. All of them became wise men. That's one thing that attracts me. The other thing is also, as a spiritual master, he also took care of social issues. He talked about the four thing, all right, four matas, all right. He's also credited to have formalized the sannyasa system. Shankara was a name given to him by his parents. There is not a sannyasi name. But he had taken sannyasa. So those days, names were different. Bhagavad Pada. That's why if you are referring to Shankaracharya as Guru, should be called Shankara Bhagavad Pada. That's a complete name. Bhagavad Pada is the sannyasa name. Okay. Bhagavad Pada added to this name. That's why his teacher was called Govinda Bhagavad Pada. Grand Guru was called Gauda Pada. So now he formalized the whole thing. Sannyasa is an old tradition. It's from Vedic times. Sannyasa is from Vedic times. Veda mentions sannyasa. Yajnavalkya walked off to take sannyasa. Yajnavalkya were two wives. He walked off to take sannyasa, maybe because he had two wives. He's already a wise person, okay, before he took sannyasa. Now, that is also maybe because he had two wives. Anyway, so he formalized it into the Dasnam sannyasa, Dasanamaha. Like Saraswati Bharati, etc., affiliated to. So there was a certain formalized, it was not an organization, but he organized the whole thing. There's a difference between having an organization and getting organized. I think Hinduism survived because there was no organization. That's not strictly true. There was no organized head, etc., like the Pope and things like that. But we were organized as a community. That is how the Dasnam system came up. No? All Saraswati, Bharati, etc., affiliated to Sringeri. Puri, Tirtha, etc., Puri, Sagara, etc., to Jagannath Puri. Then Tirtha, etc., to Dwarka. And Parvata, Vanam, etc., to Yusham. So there was a certain structure given to the whole thing so that people will know what is your lineage, Where do you come from? And traditionally, you'll also know what is your Upasana Devata. What is the Mahavakya you're supposed to do Nididhyasanam with? All that would know just by knowing your surname. Saraswati, Bharati, etc. Like we are from Saraswatis. Why? The Guru is Swami Dayananda Saraswati. His Diksha Guru was Chinmayananda Saraswati. His Diksha Guru was Shivananda Saraswati. All Saraswatis. So we belong to Sringeri. So who's your deity? Chandramaulishwara and Sharadamba. Tatvamasi is your Mahavakya. Krishna Yajurveda is the Veda. So all these come into the picture just by knowing, hey, acha, Saraswati hai, 50. We know everything about it. Your lineage, heritage, etc. You're supposed to know. I don't know how many Swamis really know all that. Not the modern ones. Traditionally, nothing. Then there's a lot more that belongs to the sannyasa tradition. That's not publicized. This is as much, all these are available for the public. So this organization is necessary to formalize it. Otherwise, we become too nebulous. An organization can be destroyed. A nebulous society also can be destroyed. But an organized society without any given particular organization, very difficult to destroy. It is not our peace-loving nature that saved us. What came to our defense was the sword. We resisted Mughal invasion right from Ranjit Singh, the Marathas, all that. And contributing to that, Shankara also established the Akhadas. The 11 original Akhadas, 6 Shaivite and 5 Vaishnavite, claims its origin to Adi Shankara. It's only Kinnara and Niranjana that came later. Kinnara is very recent. Niranjana is about 800, 900 years old. Because it took in the newer organization that sprouted up. I don't know where Chinmaya Mission puts itself into, but if you're looking at the logic, it should come under Niranjana Khada. That is if they want to. You can always say we don't belong to the Khada. That's okay. So now this is what the Akhadas had was the mainstay of the Akhadas was the Naga Babas. They also trace their source to Adi Shankara only. And Naga Babas are both. Some of them are Shastradharis, expert in the Shastra. Some of them are Shastradharis, expert in the art of war. When the Adil Shah attacked Mathura with some 3 lakh soldiers, 4,000 Naga sadhus defended the city against that. That's it. So it's time that we as modern people don't look down on Naga sadhus. Okay? They contributed a whole thing in your survival. If Sanatana Dharma is survived, pay respect to the Naga sadhus as well. Give them the respect that they may. Yeah, they have a very rough and tough image because they are rough and tough. You are not someone 3,000, 4,000 people handling a whole army. Cannot be done by mild mannered people. Cannot be done by that. have to be tough. They're great at energy work. And therefore, to be left alone, they have that image so that you will leave them alone and they can go about and doing their own things. They are not interested in your social media status, publicity, etc. In fact, they want to shun it and develop themselves for what they're meant to do. Moksha on one side and the protection of the society on the other. The Naga Babas came later. Shastradharis were very, very important because under Mughal rule, we needed the protection of the society. Their role became less when we got independence and the so-called law and order took over. But if the Naga Babas were what they were before, what is happening in Bengal wouldn't have happened. What was happening in Bangladesh wouldn't have happened. Maybe it is time to revive that whole thing also. To give them the status that they once had. Because one thing Shankara recognized, but it is not highlighted in today's world, is what I would call community defense. As a community, are you willing to take care of the people against any attack, against any calamity, against any social evil? We Hindus are very poor in this. Hindus are pathetic. Let me ask a question. Many of us live in societies. If anything goes wrong in the society, how many people come down to help? If outside your building, a woman is being harassed and she's screaming and you can hear her screams, how many will go down to help? Take a good look at yourself and answer that question to yourself. How many will go down to help? The community issue, isn't it? That someone in the community is being harassed by someone. What am I doing here? But we are all women. What can you do? A 20 women gather and start screaming. The guy will run away. Which man can stand 20 women screaming at the top of their voices? You don't need to be martial art trained. But we don't do it. Why? We're cowardly. We have no idea of what it is to have a community defense. Naga Babas filled that role in olden days. Today, the RSS tries any calamity, any issue. RSS volunteers are the first on the scene. Kerala, when the Naxalite movement was at its height, it is not the government that did much, it is the RSS that did much. But what I'm saying is Shankara recognized that. That's how the Naga Babas came up. The need for community defense. But when these organizations, RSS is trying to fulfill that role, Vishwa Hindu Parishad is trying to fulfill that role. But what do we say? Oh, yeah, Vishwa Hindu Parishad, etc., are too fanatic. We should not associate with them. Then, no, we are secular. Many of the tourists that were shot in Pahalgam were secular people because Hindus are secular. Did it matter to the terrorists that you're secular, that you're Muslim friends, that you believe Muslims have equal rights in the country, which they do. In fact, they have more rights as a minority. And they're not really a minority, they're the second largest majority. But did it matter to them, to the terrorists? That you're a Hindu, that's all that mattered to them. So the idea of community defense is absent in today's world among the Hindus. Shankara initiated that through the Naga tradition, Naga Baba tradition. Are you seeing facets of that man? Just don't call him a missionary, or worse, what one of the gurus from the south said. He was the most argumentative Indian. Just because he took part in debates doesn't make you argumentative. An argumentative person is a person who will argue for nothing because he loves to argue. Shankara's arguments were brief, clear, to the point, for convincing people about the truth. They were debates and discussions, not just being argumentative. Hello, you're getting it? Yeah. So the whole idea of community defense, I think, is one thing the Hindu should recognize in today's world. That's as much necessary as anything else that we are doing in the society. Very, very important thing that we need to do. Shankara recognized it then. To get organized without having an organization. He did that as well. Mm. What keeps India together? It is not your language. Can language unify? Any given language at any time is not spoken by more than 20% of the people. Maximum is Hindi, 20%. That's it. No other language is spoken by all the countries. So language cannot unite. Culture can unite. Food culture means what? The way you dress, the way you eat, what you eat. Is Gujarati and Rajasthani food the same? Are their cultures the same? Maharashtrian, Gujarati the same. They are all neighbors. Kerala food and Tamil Nadu food same. The way Keralites make sambar and Tamilians make sambar is different. They both call it sambar, but it's very different. Avial is completely different. So, what is it that will unite? Not food, not dance, not music. All these are different. The spiritual base is only common thing. The base of Sanatana, that Vedika culture is only thing. Vedika religion is the only thing that can unite. From north to south, east to west, Shiva is recognized. Devi is recognized. Krishna is recognized. Rama is recognized. One may have more importance than the other, but all of them are recognized and worshipped. So Shankara ensured that as well. The cultural, the religious cultural heritage of the country. That's the only unifying factor. Oh, but nowadays you can't say that because there are minorities also. So minorities are fully accepted in our system, no issues. If you're willing to live and let live, we can be as comfortable worshipping in a church or a mosque as in a temple. You may not be, but we will be. Then why don't you allow the Muslims to come and read the Kalma in the temple? Because after 10 days, they'll start claiming it as their work land. That's why we prevent that. Yeah, we prevent because that is what they will do after that. So this unifying aspect also has to be seen. It's only the spiritual base that will unify the whole nation. So that's exactly what he did in all his travels. 3 times he went around India. To walk around India once will take 3 years. So 10 years he must have been just walking. He had a traveling school. The Sishyas are also walking with him. He's teaching them morning, afternoon, evening. I got a little bit taste of that when I was traveling with Swami Dhananji, the Guru. He used to travel from place to place and he would take classes, morning talk, public, evening talk, public. In between 2 classes for us. And sometimes if we fell in the mood for it, 10 o'clock in the night, we used to have a class. We used to attend that class. Okay. 10 o'clock in the night. Then when the class is over, I'll go massage his legs, etc. A bit to ease off the pressure that is there. And he would go to sleep. I'll also go and go to sleep. So, traveling university for Shankara. Because 3 times he went around the country. And it's not just making around, it was crisscross all over. So when you look at all this, you get a very, very different picture of the person. Because his social aspect, his aspect of community defense, etc., has not been highlighted in any of the modern English works that I have read. And believe me, I read a lot. Not one has highlighted this aspect. Even I, talking before, I've not highlighted this. So I thought this time I need to highlight that part of it. Otherwise, why should he create the Naga Akhadas? Community defense. Yeah. So many facets to that man. Of course, the greatest is his role as a teacher. There's no doubt about it. But even though he was a sannyasi, he did not restrict himself to only being a teacher. He took care of these aspects also. And because of all that he did, the same knowledge that is there in the Upanishad is available to us now. So, Bhava Shankara Deshika Me Sharanam. Thank you all.